Section 6.6, Solving Equations with Rational Numbers. Solve for x by using the properties of equality. Pause the video, do the lesson opener, and come back to check your answers. Remember, the properties of equality state that as long as you do the same operation to both sides of the equal sign, it will stay equal. So in number 1, in order to solve for x, I need to subtract 3 from both sides to get x equals 7. In number 2, I'm going to need to divide both sides by 5 to get x equals 6. In number 3, I will add 5 to both sides to get x equals 13. And number 4, I will multiply both sides by 3 to get x equals 45. And number 5 is going to be 2 steps. I have to go in the order of SADMAP, opposite order of operations, or farthest away from the variable first. I'll subtract 5 from both sides. And then I'll have to divide both sides by 4 to get x equals 4. So today we're going to be dealing with solving, but we're going to have rational numbers, meaning we're going to have fractions and we're going to have decimals. So same thing, I'm going to have to solve for x by doing the same thing to both sides of the equal sign, but this time I just see fractions. So in this one, I know that I'm going to have to subtract 4/9 from both sides. But in order to subtract 4/9 from both sides, I must have common denominators. I'm going to change 1/3 to have a denominator of 9 as well, and rewrite my problem before I even begin. Now I can subtract 4/9 from both sides. I get my x by itself on the left-hand side. 3 minus 4 is -1 over 9. All right, in this one, I see 5/6 is being multiplied by the x. So in order to get rid of the 5/6, I'm going to have to divide. But we do not divide fractions. Instead, we multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 6/5. These are all going to cancel out, and I'm left with 1x, which is just x. I can put the 7 over 1, so I can multiply across. 7 times 6 is 42, and 5 times 1 is 5. That's in simplest form, and I can leave it as an improper fraction. All right, now I see decimals. I see x minus 2.45 equals 8.1. I'm going to have to add 2.45 to both sides. My x is by itself on the left-hand side. I'm going to add a 0 as a placeholder so that I can go ahead and add to get 10.55. In this one, I see I'm going to have to divide both sides by 0.15. So I get the x by itself on the left-hand side. 52.5 divided by 0.15 is 350. Remember, the nice thing with every single one of these examples is I could plug in any of my answers and check to see if I did it correctly. So I could do 0.15 times 350 and I would get 52.5. I could do the same thing with example 3. I could plug in 10.55 minus 2.45 and I would get 8.1. So you can always go back and check your work on these. Please pause the video, complete skill check number 1, questions 1 through 4 and come back to check your answers. Number 1, x is 7.15. Number 2, x is 14 over 9. Number 3, x is 1.44. And number 4, x is 17 over 10. Example 5 says solve 3y plus 5/8 equals 1 3/4. So I see this is a two-step equation. I might also notice that I'm going to need common denominators here. So let's start by changing 1 3/4 to be an improper fraction. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 is 7. It looks like my common denominator here is going to be 8, so I'm going to change 7 over 4 to have a denominator of 8. And then I'll rewrite my problem. And now I'm ready to begin. I'm going to start by subtracting 5/8 from both sides to be left with 3y on the left and 9/8 on the right. Now I'm going to have to divide both sides by 3. When I divide a fraction by 3, or by any number, remember that's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So I'm left with y equals, if I cross cancel, 3 over 8. This one I see fractions on both sides. 2/3 x equals 5/7. I don't divide fractions, I multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3 over 2. That way, I'm left with 1x or x on the left-hand side, and I can multiply across. 5 times 3 is 15, 7 times 2 is 14. X minus 1/4 equals 5/6. So again, it looks like I'm going to need common denominators. I'm going to change my denominator to be 12 for both 1/4 and 5/6. Now I can rewrite my problem. And begin to solve. I'll start by adding 3/12 to both sides to be left with 2x on the left and 13/12 on the right. I will need to divide both sides by 2, but remember, dividing fractions is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, and the reciprocal of 2 would be 1/2. To get x is 13 over 24. Now let's look at one with decimals. Negative 5x plus 6.5 equals 24.75. I'll start by subtracting 6.5 from both sides. Notice I put the placeholder. And lastly, I'll have to divide both sides by negative 5. 18.25 divided by negative 5 is 3.65. Oops, negative 3.65. Be careful. Positive divided by negative is a negative. Please pause the video, complete skill check 2, questions 1 through 4, and then come back to check your answers. Number 1, x is 6/7. Number 2, x is 6. Number 3, y is 11/5. And number 4, x is 1.11. At the end of section 6, please check Google Classroom or your assignment sheet to